This was something that JD and I were talking about on our show for a long time. We actually, in our mock draft, had 2 DTs drafted in our mock. We just need, as I mentioned on our first post-draft show, Derek Nottie. I'm not a fan. It's time to go with Derek Nottie. We needed somebody else. Cassanders is gone. Brandon Williams is gone. I know some people reference Danny Shelton being on our practice squad. Okay, it's not happening. We had to bring in Brandon Williams for a reason. Okay, so I don't think Danny Shelton's going to make the team by any means. But you bring in a guy like Keondre Coburn, a D-tackle, big and beefy, man, 6'2", 330-something pounds. He's a big boy, and they play at Texas. There's a lot of film on him just kind of dominating other teams. Oklahoma, I believe he actually went up against our guy Creed Humphrey a couple years ago. Yeah. I think he was a young buck when he did that, but Coburn's a badass, and the fact that we got him day 3, a guy who we'll be seeing a lot of, I think, because Nottie's nothing to write home about. I can see Coburn getting good snaps on this D line. Imagine D line: Coburn, Chris Jones, King Felix, and Carl Loftus. Man, that's nasty. That's a nasty front right there.
It is nasty.
To have Coburn, a guy that big, to be able to do what he's going to do for Chris Jones and allow Chris Jones to not be double teamed anymore. Good luck. Good luck. And he's also, I think he's already talked about how he's so excited to play alongside Chris Jones, which I can't wait to see that too. And to have a guy like that, this is something. We talked about it the other day. Veach has went into this draft and looked at this. We need a D end. We need a DT. We need an offensive tackle. We need a receiver. He literally checked off all the boxes that we needed for this draft. It wasn't like when PJ Thompson got drafted, because Teja and I at first didn't know who the heck the guy was. We were talking, and Teja's like, "Oh my God, we drafted a linebacker," and I'm like, "No, like we drafted a middle linebacker for no reason. Like we don't." There's been so many years in times.
Is Carl Pearson back? Where is he? Where is he?
Drafting a guy for a position we did not need. But then I looked. I was like, "Oh no, he's an outside back. Or he's an edge rusher." I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank God." We literally went for all it needs, and that's what I love about Beach. Every draft, it goes for the things that we need. It's not just some random fucking position. It's literally what we need. So love this pick. Coburn was by far the best D tackle on the board when we went and got him there. So love this. What did you guys think? I think this is my 8 grade for the day of our day 3 pick.
Marcus, I'm gonna 100% agree with you on this, because I think if you look at Brett Veach's last 3 draft picks, or draft classes, I should say, you see steals. 2020, obviously, L'Jarius Sneed, 4th round pick. If you look at 2021, obviously, Trey Smith. If you even want to throw Noah Gray in there as a 5th round pick, 162 overall, I'll let you dance with it. Then 2022, you have Isaiah Pacheco, you have Jalen Watson, and you have Joshua Williams that all fell to the 4th or beyond, and all were guys that played a pivotal role in the Chiefs winning their 2nd Super Bowl in 4 years. This will be the steal of the Chiefs draft. The reason why is because this is a guy that, like you just said, Marcus, is a guy that's going to play, I think, a legitimate role this season. I know he fell. I don't really even know why. I'm trying to look it up. I'm not seeing a whole lot. But everything about this guy is everything the Chiefs needed at that position. Like you said, Veach goes and gets needs. He's, according to NFL.com, stout, athletic nose tackle with nimble feet. He can sit down in muddy run lanes, create difficulties for pin and pull blocking schemes with agility. He's a 3-down lineman, which is so huge, obviously. You're getting a 3-down lineman this late in the draft. That's an insanely great value. He has a blend of girth, power, and agility to be coveted by teams looking to help with along the interior. His draft grade was a 6.1, which means that he's a good backup with potential to develop into a starter. So obviously, I'm not expecting him to be a day 1 starter. A lot like Pacheco at his position, you saw him have to really work himself up to becoming that, because the Chiefs had a guy that was already in place. They're giving an opportunity to play a position. But I'm with you on the whole Nottie situation. I think that now Nottie at best is just a rotational guy, and I think that Keondre Coburn is the guy that's going to succeed him. And a lot like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, given the opportunity they had last year, you saw that Isaiah Pacheco was just clearly the man for the job. He woed people in training camp. I was there. I heard the crowd. I saw the crowd. I saw the way they were just gawking over him. I think that Coburn, although he plays a position that isn't necessarily as sexy as running back, I think a lot of fans are going to really start to cling on him and jump on the Coburn bandwagon, because I think this is a guy that is going to be, like I said, the steal of this particular Veach draft class. And I'll just get right to it. I think this letter grade is an A. I really believe just by the value of the draft pick, the significance of what he can be, the skill level that this guy possesses. I don't see the negative in this one more than any other draft pick the Chiefs have, including FAU. I think this guy could definitely be a special player for the Chiefs moving forward. And unlike some of these other picks that we've talked about today, I think this is a guy that's playing in 2023 and playing in a decently important position for the Chiefs, or a contributor at an important level this year.
Hey, could you imagine that there's rumors that we try to trade up for Mozzie Smith? Now that we didn't do that, right? We stayed in our spot. Cowboys said no to us. We stayed and got King Felix, and then in the 7th round we went and get or 6th or 7th round we end up getting Keondre Coburn. I mean, it's
blessing in disguise.
I mean, it's amazing that happened. So thank you, Dallas, for saying no to that, because drafting a D tackle in the 1st round, where we got a guy who's probably marginally, I guess, worse than Mozzie Smith. I'll take Coburn in the 7th round all day long. So, Teja, what do you got for us?
Mozzie Smith, 6'3", 323. Coburn, 6'2", 332. Pretty close. Real fast. I just saw this. Is funny. Mozzie Smith's player comparison, Dontari Poe.
No way. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. I wonder if he'll play bloated pig too.
Coburn's player comp is Dan Williams, so that's pretty cool.
That's not bad.
I love the Coburn pick. In my millions of mock drafts, technically I would hit on 3 guys. I hit on Felix, Rice, and I always pick Coburn with either the 134 selection or the 166 selection. So the 194, and we traded back into the draft and gave up next year's 5th for this, correct? That's the one, yes. Right? Okay, yes. And we eventually got Dallas's anyway, so it didn't really matter. But that just shows you this is the only one we completely just traded in for, right? Everything else we kind of just moved around, right? What do we do for this? We swapped one and gave him a 5th? Is that what we did, right?
Yeah, did they give up a 7th rounder for this one and then the 5th round pick for next year?
Yeah, I think we gave him the 5th next year, plus we moved up from.
Yeah, it was like 249. I want to say the 249th pick. Yeah,
but it just shows
I want to say that's right.
How much we wanted him. So he was pick 194. Looking at where most scouts and analysts and sites had him, 125th best prospect, 140th. 139 on PFF's board. They had him listed as a 4th rounder. 172 was the worst I saw of all online scouts and analysts. The worst round I saw was 5th. So it was 4th or 5th. Great value in the late 6th. And it's a position of need. It starts the Nadi Farewell tour if he progresses and hopefully takes his job. Just a very simple, typical nose plugger. We can stuff the run. He's got a good first step. Some scouts complained about how he hadn't maybe progressed the way they wanted him to. He kind of just stayed like that his whole career there, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, that's your one job. Is he knows his bread and butter. He's 6'2", 335. He knows what he's there to do, right? They did ask him, and I heard this earlier, they did ask him to rush the passer more this year, and he finished with 31 pressures this last year, which is more than his 2 years before it.
Right.
So he is starting to add that in. So, with single coverage that he'll get with Jones squeezing out doubles every single time. Hopefully he can develop that more and more and more. They said he wore down as the season progressed. Shocker. He's 6'2", 330. I could see that happening after a long time. Just to be more consistent. A lot of this can be coached up too. So with better conditioning, I can make a case for him maybe having the most defensive snaps of anyone we drafted, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because look at the guys that are ahead of Felix. Who does Felix have to beat out? Omenihu on 1st and 2nd, Karlaftis, even Dana. That's not that easy. I hope Felix to get end rushes on 3rd down and Omenihu probably to kick in inside. That's just my guess. That would make the most sense at least. But who does Coburn have to beat out? Nadi, a guy that's on a practice squad, Shelton. If he's got to be ecstatic for coming here. You're on a winner, and you have to beat out a guy who just got signed to like a 1-year vet min deal. Like you can make a big name for yourself and a huge impact really fast. Oh yeah, and you're playing next to top 3 D tackle in the entire NFL. So your life will be easy. No one's going to be looking at you. They're going to be looking at the guy next to you every single down. All you got to do is not screw up and not get pushed backwards. It's really all you got to do. And Nani seemed to actually have that happen to him a lot. So I think he could become a first and second down starter at least sometime this season. It wouldn't shock me at all if he beats him out. And then maybe eventually, if he keeps developing his pass rush, he could be a 3-down D tackle.
Well, and to Teja's point about that, we should hope that he's the one of all these draft picks on the defensive side that plays the most. Because if everybody else, like you were alluding to about all the guys that FAU has to beat out, if he has to try to beat those guys out and he isn't getting the most snaps, that means 2 things. That the Chiefs were healthy at those positions and everybody was playing at an effective level. Because you got to remember, Mike Dana is playing for his next contract. He's going to, whether he's in Kansas City or somewhere else next year, more than likely somewhere else next year, he's playing for that. He's showcasing himself this year. So you know he's going to bring it, man, especially against the AFC West, which he always seems to play so well against the Chargers for whatever reason. I think literally like 80% of his career sacks are against the Chargers. So you know that Dana's going to try to showcase. You know all these other guys are going to try to play well. Derek Nottie included. I know, Marcus, you might want to close your ears. He's going to try to play his best as well. So yeah. I think that you're going to see the most out of this kid right here, man. That's why I'm so excited, because I think he's going to get the most opportunities. Teja, I could not have said it better than what you said right there, man. I think he's going to be the one with the most opportunities, because it's the position where there's going to be it's the biggest gaping hole of the front 7, and I think he's going to fill that very well with his athleticism and his ability. He's going to wear down, I'm sure, because at college you see it, guys that play college, 11 to 13 games. They're not used to 16, let alone 17 game schedules. And if you're on the Chiefs, you're going to play 20 games a year. So it's going to be different. But again, we go and we talk about this, and it comes full circle every time. Who is the coach? What's the coaching staff about? That's what half of this is about, man. You obviously, when you draft a player, regardless of when you draft them, they have to have the want to get better and hone in their skills and get refined. But it also comes down to where they go and what their coaching staff situation is. I don't think there's a better coaching staff in the NFL right now than what the Chiefs have, and especially on that you're talking about defensive line. Joe Cullen is one of the best at what he does. So these guys are going to be playing the interior. You saw the difference. The Chiefs went from, I think, 29th in the league in 2021 in sacks to second. And the only reason they went second is because the Eagles had one of the most historic seasons ever as far as sack totals are concerned. But when it came to pressures and quarterback hits, the Chiefs were just as good as the Eagles were. So Joe Cullen having his fingerprints on this team for year 2 and adding depth like this, I don't see how this isn't going to work out in the Chiefs' favor and improving from even 2022.
We shouldn't have anyone wear down at the end. We have 4 good, maybe not 15 sackers on the ends. We have 4 good rushers. Yeah. 4 good ones between the 4 we got. And at the very least, Coburn can take over the Saunders spot, and he's got that little wiggle to him anyway. So He's kind of the cross between Nottie and Saunders, actually, if you watch him play. He's a little quick. He's got quick feet, nimble feet. So it's going to be fun to watch our D-line this year. I'm really, really excited about it.
And he's a plugger, too. We haven't really had a guy like that. I mean, Brandon Williams was that. We brought him in last year. And like we talked about the other day, once we got Brandon Williams, you saw there was a big difference in the way the D-line was playing and actually being able to stop the run, actually getting penetration, and also alleviating double teams from Chris Jones and kind of taking on double teams. To be quite honest with you, with a guy that big, you're going to need a double team. Teja, did you give a grade for that one?
Oh, I go A, easy A plus. There's also something to be said about being surrounded with greatness too, right? When you play near Chris Jones, I feel like it elevates your game. When you play near Patrick Mahomes, I feel like it elevates your game. We have such great players at so many different parts of the field that the young guys around them will just fall in line. You got McDuffie becoming a star, and you got a Snead back there. So DBs are going to want to step up their game. Linebackers, we have no shortage of linebackers at this point. D-line, you see Chris Jones next to you. O-line, we even have a bunch of guys that you're going to want to fall in line, look good. Hence why Wiley had his best season of his career. Yep. I just feel like everywhere and receivers, you don't even need that guy there because who's throwing you the ball? So anywhere you look, you're being surrounded by someone great, and not to mention we just won the Super Bowl. So, sure.
Well, that and a little underrated little tidbit here, real quick, is the fact that there's a Chiefs legend that has been putting his He's been really putting his effort into helping develop some of these pass rushers the Chiefs have been having, in particular George Karlaftis, and that's Tamba Hali. I got a chance to talk with Tamba Hali a couple weeks ago about this very thing. And the beautiful thing about Tamba is he's made himself very accessible. He lives in Kansas City still, and he's really showing these guys not only the ropes, but a couple little tricks of the trade. And what's cool about that is that I think that Tamba and George Karlaftis have a lot of similarities in being coverage sack type guys. So something else to look forward to this year, not to veer off from what we're talking about, but year 2 George Karlaftis and the development he has with his hands, because I know he's a bull rusher. I know he's a guy that loves to use his physical frame and just kind of rolling through tight end or the left tackles, right tackles. I think this year you're going to see some good hand motions from George Karlaftis. You can see him develop that because we've been watching on his Instagram and Tamba Hali's Instagram as well. They've been really putting in the work this offseason. So like you were just talking about, Teja, about all the depth around these young guys that are coming in this year. I mean, look for the depth also to be doing their thing as well. Because like I said, if our guy FAU is fighting for opportunities to get on the field, that's a great thing. Obviously, we want to see him play. But with the guys around him right now, if they're all doing their jobs, then he's going to have to continue to fight, which means the Chiefs are going to be getting the best out of him even in his rookie year. So this is why I've been saying for so long the Chiefs need to continue to hammer home and draft defensive players and make it that much easier for Patrick Mahomes on the other side to where he's not having to outscore teams and he's having to put up 38 points a week. It's fun to watch that. Obviously, we welcome it, but we want to see the Chiefs be able to say, look, we put up 28 points this week, 27 points this week. Wasn't our best outing, but we beat this team by 7-8 points. It's because we had a defense that we could rely on each and every week, and that's what Veach is building out there, and he's building it in a very cheap way.
There's also an extra element with when the Chiefs draft. So when a normal team drafts, they say all the same things. They're always like, "Oh yeah, we need a guy with the right mentality, a winner." You're gonna go 4-13 this year. You want a winner? Well, what do you mean? You want him to look good when you tank and are top 5? Like, give me a break. I know that's coach speak, and you're supposed to say that. It's legitimate with the Kansas City though. Are you ready to come in and compete for championships? That's
so true, man. That's so true.
Commitment to excellence. We're a great team. Like, no, you're not though. Yeah, I don't care what you did 20 years ago. I'm coming into this either dumpster fire or chance to win every year. So when Veach is meeting these guys, it's really important to get in their heads. Yeah. Who are you, and are you ready to come right in and have that pressure on you? Are you ready to compete and be an integral part of a championship run? And even more so this year, because it's like you saw the guys last year, right? Don't think for a second you're going to be riding the bench just collecting paychecks and buying nice cars for this year, okay? It's a lot more than that. Your ass is going to be playing in high leverage and high pressure situations really quickly. So it's all up to you whether you want to be watching your seventh rounder, because we don't care about rounds here. We had a seventh guy start. We'll have UDFA guys start. It doesn't matter. We have the best player play, and we go all the way. We at least our floor, gentlemen, is the AFC Championship. That's the worst we'll do this year based on recent patterns. And expectations. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Our expectations is really Super Bowl at least, right? But the floor is AFC Championship. So you got to be ready. Are you guys ready to compete? Yeah. That's the whole question. Marcus, that's Teja, you're preaching here, bro, because before last year's draft, I said that the cool thing about these guys coming into Kansas City, no matter what draft class or what draft grade or position they're in the draft, they're coming in here with a very unique situation to inherit. That they're coming in knowing that the pressure is not going to be on them for them to save a franchise. Like, we remember all the days back in I remember the draft when Reggie Bush and Mario Williams were coming out, and who was going to go number 1 overall, and we were like, man, you imagine the pressure on one of these two guys going to the Texans, like, of what's going to happen for those guys knowing they have to be the savior before they've ever taken a single snap in the NFL. Not a single guy that comes into Kansas City over the last 5 years and for the next 5 to 10 years at least is going to ever feel that kind of pressure, because they're going to have those guys already here in place. A culture has already been established to where they're not going to have to set that culture at 21, 22 years old. But at the same time, even though you're not going to have those types of expectations, you are expected, as Teja just said, to walk in and realize there is a great chance, based on how Brett Veach drafts and how the team uses all their players, you're going to play a role on a team that is expected to win Super Bowls. So it's a very unique situation
situation that players have to inherit, like I said, coming into Kansas City. But in my opinion, if I'm a competitor and I'm coming in, whether I had success in college, the college ranks or not, that's the greatest situation you can walk in, because you know you're going to have your number called, but you know that you're going to be playing free and fluid because it's not really on you. It's at the start to become that guy, but you know that responsibility will come when you continue to show that you are a guy that Andy Reid can trust. Because if we know anything, rookies are a group of guys that Andy Reid doesn't really acknowledge a lot. He's pretty infamous for that, but there's a reason for that, because he wants you to earn his trust and earn his respect, and once you do that, you become one of his guys, and that's a very unique thing for these guys to inherit, and I love that from that perspective.
We found who we want, I think, in makeup. Right now, you're not even replacing players anymore. You're replacing that role on the team, and we have Snead is not changing the way guys are playing DB. They just found a perfect guy to play it the way they want it to be played, and from here on out, it's just finding clones. Yeah. Right? You just find guys that you need to fill those roles year after year after year. Just find, what do we do in the draft? We find a guy who is very Juju-ish in the way he runs his routes and where he ran his routes. We didn't just replace a square with a circle. We're just trying to replace that same little hole every single time. And if we keep doing that, and you get multiple guys every year, if one of those guys hits as a quality starter, then you're good to go. You're fine.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.